So, there's this billionaire, Vanessa Caldwell, right? Big name in finance, one of the most powerful black women out there. Word got back to her that there might be some discrimination going on at her own bank. So she gets this idea to go undercover. No fancy clothes, no VIP treatment, just a regular customer trying to take out some of her own cash. But instead of getting help, she gets hit with suspicion, pushback, and straight-up denial. They had no clue who she was. And you just know that when they did find out, all heck was going to break loose. Hey, before we go any further, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to know. Anyway, Vanessa straightens the strap on her purse and takes a deep breath before walking through those shiny glass doors. The bank, spotless, looks all professional and efficient. You hear that soft hum of people talking as folks move around, tellers are smiling and greeting everyone. The lines moving fast, transactions are smooth. Some dude in a nice suit walks up to a teller, gets a friendly greeting, and bam, his request is done in no time. She watches him walk off with his receipt, then steps up to take his place. The teller, this guy Brian according to his name tag, barely even looks up when she puts her card on the counter. His face is all neutral, his voice is short. "I'll need to see some ID," he says. So she gets her ID out of her purse and slides it over, trying to stay cool. Brian grabs it, barely glances at it, and then turns to his computer. He starts typing away, eyes glued to the screen. And then comes the pause. It's quick, but she catches it. Just a little hesitation, the way his eyes flick around, the sudden stiffening of his shoulders. It's only a second before he presses his lips into a tight line. "I'll need some more verification before I can process this withdrawal," he says. She raises an eyebrow. "What kind of verification?" Brian doesn't answer right away. His eyes dart to someone behind her. Then, without saying another word, he stands up. "I'll need to get my manager." He walks real fast towards the glass office at the back of the bank. Inside, some guy in a blue suit is sitting at a desk, looking over papers. Brian leans in and whispers something to him. The guy, Gregory Tate, the branch manager, looks up, his eyes going past Brian to the woman at the counter. She sees a quick flash of curiosity on his face. Then comes something else, a quiet look over. Gregory sighs, puts his papers down, and stands up. He adjusts his suit cuffs as he walks towards her, wearing that polite but distant look that she's seen a million times. "Good afternoon," he says, his voice smooth but not too friendly. "I understand you're requesting a withdrawal?" She nods. "That's correct." Gregory takes a quick look at her ID before giving it back. "For withdrawals of this size, we need to be extra careful. It's standard procedure." Her fingers tighten around the ID as she puts it back in her wallet. "Standard procedure?" Gregory nods. "We've had some fraud cases recently, just a precaution." "A likely story." "Yeah, right, a likely story." She takes a slow breath, letting it out through her nose. "So what's next?" she asks. Gregory taps his finger on the counter, like he's thinking real hard about his options. "I'll need another form of ID. A passport or a utility bill." She reaches into her purse and pulls out her passport, putting it on the counter nice and easy. Gregory picks it up and opens it. He's drumming his fingers on the passport as he looks it over. You can tell he's hesitating. He was probably hoping she wouldn't have it, so he could deny her, but there it is, a perfectly good passport. Brian, standing next to him, is starting to sweat a little, looking back and forth between them. The bank lobby's gotten quieter now. A few folks are sneaking glances their way. You can feel the energy in the room change. Gregory clears his throat and forces a smile. "I'll just need to verify a few things," he says. She raises an eyebrow. "I thought that's what you were already doing." Gregory doesn't answer. He turns around and heads back to his office, leaving her standing there at the counter. You can feel everyone's eyes on her. Some people are pretending not to notice. Others are just staring, their faces hard to read. She knew this was going to be a test, but she didn't think they'd take it this far. She shifts her weight a little, drumming her fingers on her purse strap. The seconds are dragging on forever. Behind the counter, Brian's avoiding eye contact, all of a sudden busy organizing papers that are already organized. A woman at the next window, another teller who is just chatting it up with a customer, steals a quick look at her before looking away. The bank's gone quiet and tense. She looks over at Gregory's office. He's gone behind the glass door, and you can see him pacing back and forth in front of his desk, talking on his phone. Her patience is wearing thin. She's been in enough board meetings, sat at enough negotiating tables, to know when someone's stalling. Minutes are going by, then more. A few customers come and go, their transactions done super fast. No questions, no extra ID, no waiting. But here she is, still standing there. She takes another slow breath, trying to keep her face neutral, as she reaches into her purse. As soon as she pulls out her phone, Brian's posture changes. His eyes flicker with something that looks like panic, even though he's trying to hide it. Gregory's still on his call, his back to the lobby now. She doesn't waste any time. She scrolls through her contacts, taps a name, and puts the phone to her ear. The line barely rings before some smooth, important-sounding voice answers. "Vanessa, is everything all right?" She can feel the shift in the air as soon as she speaks. "I need you to connect me to the regional director immediately." Brian makes a sharp inhale. The woman at the next window shuffles nervously. Gregory, still with his back turned, keeps on talking in a hushed voice, not knowing the crap is about to hit the fan behind him. "How's that? I'm trying to keep the tension building and add those little details that make it feel more real. Let me know if you want any changes." "Of course, Miss Caldwell," the voice says right away. "I'll connect you now." Brian gulps hard. A second later, a different voice comes on. "Daniel Whitmore, Regional Director." "Vanessa, this is unexpected. What's going on?" She doesn't take her eyes off Brian as she talks, her voice steady but firm. "I'm at the Brightwood branch trying to make a simple withdrawal, but I've been asked for extra ID twice. My driver's license wasn't enough. My passport wasn't enough. And now I'm still waiting while your branch manager, Gregory Tate, is stalling in his office." The silence that follows is heavy. Brian's hands are shaking a little as he messes with the papers in front of him. His jaws so tight she can see the muscle twitch. "I see," Daniel finally says, his voice calm, but you can tell he's not happy. "And tell me, does Gregory know who you are?" She smiles, but it's not a friendly smile. "Not yet." Daniel lets out a low breath. "Stay put." She hangs up just as Gregory turns back to the lobby. He's off the phone now, but his face has changed. He's not so casual anymore. Now he looks a little worried, but he still doesn't know what he's done. "I'm sorry for the delay," he says real smooth, like she's only been waiting a few seconds. "We just need to confirm a few things before processing your request." She sees something move out of the corner of her eye. Brian shifting on his feet, looking anywhere but at Gregory. He knows. They all know. And now Gregory's about to find out. Before she can even say anything, Gregory's office phone rings real loud. He jumps a little. Then real slow, he turns and goes back behind the glass. The next few seconds are like watching a train wreck in slow motion. The door shuts behind him, but you can see everything through the glass. The second Gregory picks up the phone, he stands up straight. The fake professional look just disappears, and now he looks like he's about to poop his pants. She doesn't need to hear the conversation to know what's being said. Brian gasps. The lady teller next to him turns her head a little, like she's trying to hear what's going on. Even some of the customers can tell something's up. They stop talking and just wait. Inside the office, Gregory runs a hand over his face, nodding real fast as he listens to whoever's on the other end. He's gripping the phone tight, his shoulders hunched up. Then, like he can't help it, he looks up and sees her looking right at him. And that's it. It hits him. His face goes white. He almost drops the phone and stumbles back, opening his mouth like he's going to say something. But nothing comes out. It takes less than 10 minutes for everything to change. Vanessa just stands there, not moving, not even blinking, as she watches him realize what he's done. Gregory's hands are shaking. He thought he was just following procedure, but now he thought he had everything figured out. He had his excuses all ready, his explanations practiced. But that one phone call just blew it all to bits. Vanessa Caldwell wasn't just some random customer. She wasn't someone he could just brush off with a quick apology. She's the CEO of Caldwell Financial Group, the owner of the whole darn bank he works for. And now, he's embarrassed her in front of a whole room full of customers and employees. She gave him every chance to do the right thing. She stood there, calm and patient, while he dragged out a process that should have taken a couple of minutes. He tested her. And now, it's his turn to get tested. Vanessa doesn't move from her spot at the counter. She doesn't need to. Just the fact that she's there is enough to make the room feel tight and uncomfortable. Gregory hesitates, but he can't get out of this now. He turns and walks towards his office like a guy walking to his own doom. Even Brian, who's been trying not to look at her for the last half hour, looks like he's trying to disappear. He's drumming his fingers on the counter, his eyes darting towards Gregory's office. Then, the phone at Brian's desk rings. He jumps like someone shot a gun. He fumbles to pick it up, his hands shaking like crazy. "Yes, sir," he stutters, before hitting the hold button and looking up at Vanessa. He says, his voice cracking a little. "Miss Caldwell, the regional director would like to speak with you." She lets out a little smirk. "I imagine he would," she says, reaching for the phone. She doesn't wait. She puts the phone to her ear, her voice smooth and calm. "Daniel, Vanessa here." Daniel Whitmore's voice is tight, like he's trying not to blow up. "Are you still at the Brightwood branch?" "Still standing at the counter where I was denied service," she replies. "Your branch manager seems to think the rules don't matter, depending on who's asking." There's a long, sharp silence. "That branch will be under review before the end of the day," Daniel finally says, his voice low and mean. "And Gregory Tate won't be managing it much longer." Vanessa shifts, looking over at Gregory's office. She can see him pacing, all sweaty and messed up through the glass. She smiles. "Good, because I want answers," she says, keeping her voice calm. "I want to know how often this happens. I want to know why my customers, especially the ones who look like me, are getting extra ID checks, delays, and treated like dirt, while others walk in and out without a problem." Daniel takes a deep breath. He knows what she's saying. "I'll meet you there in 20 minutes, he says. "And Vanessa?" She can hear the anger in his voice, even though he's trying to hide it. "This will be handled." She puts the phone down. The whole bank is dead silent now. Employees have stopped working. Customers, who were pretending not to watch, are just staring. And Brian? He looks like he's about to. "How's that?" "I'm trying to really capture the tension and the impact of the situation." "Ready for the final part?" Gregory finally comes out of his office, walking too fast. His tie's a little loose, like it was choking him. He wipes his hand across his face and tries to force a smile. "Miss Caldwell," he starts, his voice trying to sound confident, but just sounding pathetic. "I deeply regret this misunderstanding. If I had known who you were, She tilts her head a little. "If you had known who I was," she repeats. Gregory swallows hard. "You mean to say," she continues, her voice hard as steel, "that respect is only for people you recognize? That a black woman standing at this counter in regular clothes is a problem until you realize she's your boss?" He opens his mouth, then closes it. There's no way out for him now. "I was just following security procedures," he says, trying to sound like he believes it. "You have to understand, we've had fraud cases." Vanessa doesn't even let him finish. "You're lying." The words cut through the room like a knife. Gregory turns white. "You and I both know," she says, her voice calm but scary, "that this bank has one of the lowest fraud rates in the state. You know why? Because I made those security rules myself. I designed them. And nowhere in those rules does it say that a black customer with 2 forms of ID should be treated like a criminal, while white businessmen walk in and out without a question." Brian sucks in a breath real loud. Gregory opens and closes his mouth like a fish out of water. Vanessa finally lets out a breath, rolling her shoulders back. "But let's be real, Gregory. This isn't about the rules. This is about bias. You saw my face and made a decision before I even said a word." Someone in the crowd gasps. Gregory's completely lost it now, his forehead all sweaty, holding onto the counter to stay standing. He stops making excuses. He stops talking, because he finally realizes it's all over for him. Vanessa turns to Brian. The young guy gets all stiff, his hands clenched. "Do I still need more ID?" she asks, smooth as can be. Or is my transaction ready now? Brian fumbles to process the withdrawal. His hands are shaking so bad that the money almost falls on the floor as he puts it on the counter. "Thank you for banking with us," he whispers, barely loud enough to hear. She takes the cash and puts it in her bag. As soon as she turns to leave, the door swings open again. This time, it's Daniel Whitmore himself. His face is like a thunderstorm. He barely even looks at Gregory before turning to Vanessa. "Let's take this to my office," he says, short and simple. And with that, Vanessa walks out of the bank, knowing she'll be back. Not as a customer, but as the woman who's about to change everything. The walls of the regional office conference room felt tight. Gregory sat at the long table, his hands clenched so tight his knuckles were white. Across from him, Daniel leaned back in his chair. "And that's where it ends for now, right? Hope you liked the way I reworked it. Let me know if you have any other stories you want me to help with." Daniel was sitting there, watching Gregory with a look so cold it could freeze. The you-know-what off a brass monkey. And then there was Vanessa Caldwell, sitting at the head of the table. She looked totally calm and in control. No anger, no laughing about it. Just a quiet, powerful woman who built an empire all by herself. A woman who could be ticked off but didn't need to be, because she'd already won. Daniel's the first to say something. "Gregory, do you have any idea what you've done?" Gregory swallows hard. "I made a mistake." Vanessa lets out a soft breath, shaking her head. "A mistake," she says, real slow and clear. "Is that what we're calling it?" Gregory clenches his jaw. "I swear, Ms. Caldwell, I wasn't trying to be racist, biased, discriminatory," she finishes for him, her eyes sharp. He turns white as a ghost. Daniel sighs, rubbing his head before looking at Gregory with a "I'm not impressed" stare. "You embarrassed the CEO of this bank in front of customers and employees," he says flatly. "You racially profiled her, stopped her from getting her own money, and then made it worse when you had every chance to fix it. Do you think I can just ignore that?" Gregory looks like he's drowning. "Please, I didn't know who she was. If I had..." And there it is. Vanessa cuts him off. Gregory jumps. "You keep saying that. If you had known who I was, if you had realized my name meant something. But that's not what's important here, is it? What's important is that you saw a black woman at your counter and decided she wasn't worth the same respect as everyone else." Gregory opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. Daniel lets out a slow breath before sitting up straight in his chair. Corporates looked at the security footage, not just from yesterday, but from the last 6 months. Vanessa already knew what they'd find. It wasn't just her. Black customers got asked more questions, got denied service for stuff that white customers did with no problem. Employees kind of pushing them towards the ATMs instead of helping them at the counter. And Gregory? Daniel said. He'd seen all of it. The pattern's clear. It happened while you were in charge. Gregory's face is pale as death. He knows this is it. "I'm sorry, Gregory," Daniel says. But he doesn't sound sorry at all. "Your time working for Caldwell Financial Group is over, starting now." Gregory just sits there. "But my career?" Daniel doesn't let him finish. "Security's waiting outside. They'll walk you out of the building." The finality in his voice hits Gregory like a ton of bricks. He slumps over, holding his knees like the weight of what he's done is crushing him. Vanessa doesn't even look at him. She stands up, smoothing out her jacket, all calm and graceful. By the time she turns to Daniel, Gregory's already forgotten. "This isn't just about him," she says. Daniel nods. "I know." She takes a slow breath, looking at the report on the table. "And that's the end. I hope you liked the final version. It was fun helping you rewrite this. Let me know if you ever need anything else." The fact that I had to go through this myself just to prove a point tells me that this problem goes way deeper than just one jerk. So, tell me, Daniel, what are we going to do about it? He lets out a sharp breath, leaning forward. "I was hoping you'd ask that." Vanessa wasn't into empty promises or press releases. She didn't care about damage control or BS corporate talk about inclusion. She wanted real change. So, when she stood at the podium the next morning, cameras flashing and microphones pointed at her, she didn't hold back. "What happened to me wasn't just about one bad employee. It was about a culture that lets these things happen, and I'm not going to let that happen while I'm in charge. A murmur goes through the crowd. In the last day, my team's done a deep dive into our banking practices. What we found wasn't acceptable. Customers of color have been getting unnecessary ID checks, long waits, and just flat-out denied service for no good reason. She lets the silence sink in. That ends today. The room's all stirred up, reporters looking at each other, typing like crazy. As of this morning, Caldwell Financial Group is making anti-bias training mandatory for all employees, she announces. Also, we're starting a new customer complaint hotline, watched over by an outside committee, to make sure no one gets ignored when they speak up. A reporter raises his hand. Ms. Caldwell, some people say this was just one thing that happened. What do you say to that? She looks him right in the eye. I can prove it wasn't. She points to the security report on the podium. We found a lot of times when people were treated unfairly. Customers turned away for no reason. Transactions denied for no cause. Staff who ignored these problems because they didn't think anyone would care. Her voice doesn't shake. That changes now. The next question comes fast. Gregory Tate, will there be any more consequences? Vanessa's face doesn't change. Gregory Tate no longer works for Caldwell Financial Group, and any employee who's found doing messed up banking practices will be dealt with just as fast. A reporter in the back leans forward. Do you think this is a problem at other banks? Vanessa doesn't even hesitate. Absolutely. The murmurs get louder. If I, as the CEO of a bank, can get denied service at my own bank, what do you think happens to the average customer? What happens to the black woman trying to get a business loan? The single mom trying to deposit a check? The young guy trying to build his credit? The room goes silent. She lets her words sink in before saying her last thought. We can't fix what we don't admit. So today, Caldwell Financial Group is admitting it. And we're going to be the example of what real change looks like. She steps back. The cameras flash. The world's just been put on notice. 2 weeks later, Vanessa went back to, okay, that's the real end this time. Phew. I hope you're happy with the final result. It was a fun project. Let me know if you ever need anything else. 2 weeks later, Vanessa goes back to the Brightwood branch. This time, she's not hiding. She walks through those same glass doors. But now everything's changed. Employees are standing up straighter, paying attention. Customers are moving around, no one being pulled aside for extra checks. The new branch manager, a young woman named Danielle Carter, comes up to her. She's standing tall, but respectful. Ms. Caldwell, she says, her voice steady. I just wanted to say thanks to you personally. Because of what you did, everything's different here. Vanessa looks at her for a second before nodding. That's the point, she says. A bank should treat everyone with respect, no matter what. She turns and heads for the door. As she walks out, she looks up at the sign above the entrance. It still says the bank's name, but now it means more. Fairness, accountability, change. Vanessa took a stand. But how many people are out there who aren't being heard? Have you ever been treated unfairly because of how you look, where you're from, or what people think of you? What did you do? How did it make you feel? Tell us about it in the comments. Your voice matters. And talking about stuff like this helps us see the problems we can't ignore anymore. Thanks for watching. And if you liked the story, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep fighting for change together.